How's everybody going? Doing? Going? Whatever, right? Hey, thanks for coming here and watching this video. This one is about, I've been talking about this, AI in schools and dumbing you down. If you don't think that's true, then you need to watch this video because it's messed up.
I've developed an addiction to AI. My AI is actually on my best friends list.
If you're anything like me, you use ChatGPT for everything. ChatGPT is my counselor, my therapist, my best friend. It knows all my secrets.
Story time on how I almost got kicked out of the University of Michigan in my freshman year for using ChatGPT.
Okay, so ChatGPT is down, but we do not panic.
You're literally one AI agent away from making $10K a month.
The most gut-wrenching feeling in the world is when the ChatGPT chat that you've been using for about 6 months starts referencing things that don't exist. It must be what it feels like to notice for the first time that a loved one has dementia or something.
Everyone's talking about how AI is ruining YouTube, but I believe AI is ruining something much worse, our own ability to think. ChatGPT has went down several times this year, and every time it goes down, it truly exposes people who are over-reliant on the AI. People are genuinely losing their minds because they now can't get any of their work done, they can't cheat on their assignments, and apparently they can't even bake a cake.
ChatGPT is down, and I don't know about anyone else, but I have come to the conclusion that I can't use my own brain anymore. Because, for example, right now I want to bake a cake, and normally I ask ChatGPT, how do you make a carrot cake? I can't simply Google something anymore. Like, I need a step-by-step breakdown from my best friend, who is also a robot. And now, it's like he's passed away. So, that's me for the day. I'll go back to bed.
If we as a society are already this dependent on ChatGPT and can't be bothered to Google something the moment the servers go down, we as a society are baked. And not in the fun way. Cookbooks, Google, I think even the flour bag has a recipe on it, or just call your grandmother. I'm sure she has a recipe and she would love to hear from you. And of course, every time ChatGPT goes down, everybody goes to Reddit to let everybody else know what they already know is that the servers are down. The caption says, when ChatGPT tells you Australians don't need a visa to enter Chile, but it's wrong and too late now. People are now relying on ChatGPT for travel information, which, as we know, gets updated. It's not always the same. ChatGPT, of course, can not only have outdated information, it can also hallucinate. This is fascinating to me because this was such a simple Google search, but it's like people don't want to Google anything now. They don't want to search out information themselves. They just want answers given to them automatically, regardless if it's true or not. I was recently thinking about all the know-it-alls in the world, right? I think we all know someone who kind of just says things and you're like, where did you get that from? And I don't know where they get it from. They just pull it out of thin air, but they say it confidently because they themselves believe it, and now they're trying to pass it on as truth.
Last night, I went out with friends, and one of my friends brought a friend. We were talking about space, and I said, fun fact, the size of Neptune's storms are so large they could eat Earth. And then little Tagalong speaks up and he goes, oh, that's not true, bro. That's not true. And I'm like, okay. So I take out my phone, I go to NASA's official website, and I show him with proof that it is true. And he goes, no. He takes out his phone, opens ChatGPT, and says, yo, Chat, is this real? You're using an AI model to fact-check NASA.
Why use brain when you have ChatGPT? It's truly amazing to me that people are doubting official sources of truth, such as NASA, and opting for ChatGPT as their source of truth. People are now using AI to cheat during their interviews.
You're leading an army of ants in a battle against grasshoppers. What's your first strategic move?
I think my first strategic move would be to assess the terrain and identify any natural advantages that we can leverage, such as narrow paths or elevated areas.
So you can see the AI has been listening to the conversation and it just outputs the answer and she's kind of reading it off. I understand, okay? I understand. The interviewing process, job hunting, I get it. It sucks. I think imposter syndrome is something we have all struggled with at least at some point in our careers. And if you can't answer the questions in an interview, I don't know, I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure. I know employers themselves are using AI, so now potential employees are fighting back using AI themselves themselves. But I think this will just lead employers to coming up with new tactics to see, are you using AI?
I think we've reached a point with AI where we can confidently say this is not a tool that is revolutionizing learning. This is a nightmare that is destroying learning. Not once have I seen a single student use AI as a resource or in a way that is even remotely ethical. 100% of times when I see students use it, it is so they do not have to think. I'm talking about putting an essay prompt into ChatGPT, not even reading the essay prompt, copying and pasting the results into a doc and submitting it without even reading it over.
More and more teachers are coming out and claiming how AI is terrible for students, and I'm always surprised by the amount of backlash that these teachers get. There's a huge difference in giving AI to an adult to be used as a tool and giving AI to a student to be used as a crutch. An adult already has critical thinking skills, whereas a child hasn't developed their critical thinking yet. These students need to be writing things for themselves. Writing, reading, spelling, all of those things lead to critical thinking, abstract thinking, which is the basis of just learning how to learn.
This is exactly what I've been saying all along. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. You have to be able to use your brain, especially when you're a child and growing up in high school. You got to be able to think for yourself and think things through. I said this before when my daughter couldn't add and subtract, because when she was in school, they were allowed to use calculators. And now I know why she can't add and subtract or make change with money, because she lost it from not using it.
How can they fact check an LLM if they can't even on their own create their own stories? People also love to compare AI to when calculators were introduced. Have you ever asked a calculator how to boil an egg? Have you ever asked a calculator to write a resume for you? They're not the same thing. AI can do way more things than a calculator, including math, kind of. As the teacher mentioned, students just copy prompts and paste them into ChatGPT. And this is happening so often in universities that professors are now using a Trojan horse to detect AI. The professors will put something like, mention Dua Lipa. If you don't know, she's an artist. But the interesting thing is, students aren't even reading what ChatGPT is giving them. They're not even reading their work, they're just submitting the whole thing. And then somewhere in the essay it mentions Dua Lipa, which if you wrote that yourself, or if you even halfway wrote it going back and forth with ChatGPT, you would wonder, why is it talking about Dua Lipa? They're not even reading the prompt. The caption says, ChatGPT is down. Is it too far to ask Snapchat AI for exam answers? And then it uses Taylor Swift's song where it says something like, I've got nothing in my brain. Yeah, because you're using AI for everything. You haven't learned anything, and thus you can't recall anything, and you're not able to do your exam. And you're panicking now when ChatGPT is down. It's interesting that she wants to use a social media's AI to help her cheat on her exam, when it's social media that destroyed our critical thinking skills, and not just the desire to find the truth, but the ability to do so. People are now relying on ChatGPT for things like hiking, and it's leading users who I guess are not familiar with hiking to go on these mountains that still have snow, and they're wearing sneakers. They're not even prepared for the reality of what the hike is going to be like, and it's causing all these search and rescue teams to have to go out and rescue these people. People are relying so heavily on ChatGPT that they don't even understand that without cell reception, they can get no help from ChatGPT or a rescue team. Or a rescue team.
If you're not using ChatGPT for everything in your life, you're crazy.
This is by far the most powerful ChatGPT prompt I've ever seen. You are now operating in God mode.
I'm giving you guys right now the exact ChatGPT prompt that will help you manifest your dream life.
And this is how you can have a mental reprogramming of your brain. Here's the prompt.
Older people use ChatGPT as a Google replacement. Maybe people in their 20s and 30s use it as like a life advisor or something.
There's an interesting paradox happening with AI where people feel they are genuinely leveling up. They're becoming better, faster, smarter. They're evolving with AI. However, the research says otherwise. Earlier this year, the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania released research on how we learn with LLMs. Their research showed that when we search for information ourselves, we're more invested, and thus as we're searching out information, we synthesize and hold on to more of that information. Whereas with ChatGPT, it just spits out an answer, we read it, we don't really hold on to the information, and we just keep going about our day. We then have the recently released MIT study that shows that people who use LLMs tend to have less brain activity. In the study, participants were asked to write an essay. The researchers used an EEG to measure the electrical activity of the brain as users were writing their essay. They found that the people who only use their brains exhibited the strongest, most distributed networks, and the LLM users displayed the weakest connectivity. This study also highlighted how people who use the LLM had a really hard time recalling what they'd even read or wrote with the LLM. And I know a lot of people have issues with this MIT research, claiming that it's too small of a sample size. But we also have Microsoft's own research pointing to basically the same thing, that the more we use LLMs, our brains are having atrophy and we're losing our critical thinking. This is all interesting to me because the AI hype usually focuses on how we're all going to unlock all of this knowledge that the average person can learn physics. Yet if they're using an LLM to learn physics, then they're actually learning it at a shallower depth than if they would research it on their own. AI is also marketed to us as allowing us to automate the boring things, when in reality we're just fact-checking what the LLM tells us. We're not even using our creativity, and we're not using our critical thinking skills. That's why we're becoming dumber. In my opinion, we really didn't need these studies to show that if you outsource every single thought you have to ChatGPT, that will deteriorate our own ability to think critically and problem solve.
If I can show you how to make money with ChatGPT in the next hour, would you do it?
So I've been training this brand new AI on exactly how to help beginners make money online.
If I had to start from zero and make $10K per month as fast as possible with AI, here are 3 ideas that I know for sure would work.
I'm gonna stop scrolling because this AI hack could change your entire 2025 income game.
I'm too cheap to pay for my own Netflix subscription, so let's build our own version of Netflix, and all we're going to need is to go into ChatGPT. I just sit back, relax, and save that Netflix subscription money. What's your vibe today? Smart feed, mystery?
So many people these days are told they need to start a business or a side hustle, and with AI, anyone can code up their own application, even though these people are now putting users' passwords in an Excel file because they don't know how to set up a database or do proper authentication. But I digress. I'm thinking about starting a side hustle where I collect dog poop by hand from people's yards and drying them out to put in resin to make jewelry and watches out of. Thinking of calling it Turd Times a Charm. What do you think? This idea is brilliantly unhinged, and honestly, it might just work. People may be spending money that they don't have to start a side hustle all because ChatGPT told them it was a brilliant idea. It's like we're so focused on being efficient now that no one cares about honing their skills, about improving their craft. Take the event loop in JavaScript. It's a coding language if you don't know. The event loop, you don't necessarily need to know to write JavaScript code, but it's something that I want to know. It fascinates me and it allows me to write optimized code. But do I truly need to know it to be able to write code? No, the AI knows it. It can write optimal code. But it's like nowadays, I'm viewed as the idiot if I don't want to use AI. Like if I don't want to outsource my brain to the AI, I'm the idiot. Over-reliance on ChatGPT is the real zombie apocalypse. It's the death of critical thinking. I think this tweet sums up this video quite well. Sometimes in the process of writing a good enough prompt for ChatGPT, I end up solving my own problem without even needing to submit it. AI folks have now discovered thinking.
You just are putting your closets on ChatGPT? What happened to the art of getting dressed? What happened to... I can't find anything to wear. One of my last beautiful personal joys that we have every day is the art of getting dressed.
He's ranting about how people are now uploading their entire wardrobe to ChatGPT to ask ChatGPT for recommendations on what they should wear, what they should buy. His argument is that we're all going to look the same now, which I agree. We're all losing our individuality, our personality. We all sound the same, actually. Research does show that everybody's kind of just sounding the same now because they're all regurgitating what ChatGPT has told them. Where is individuality? Where is ownership of our work? Where is creativity? creativity. When we question nothing and outsource all of our critical thinking skills to an AI, it creates the perfect conditions for tech billionaires like Peter Thiel to control us, which is already happening. But that's a topic for another video.
Hey, how are you? How am I doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Do
you want to go out for ice cream? Let me ask Chat. Hey, Chat, should I go out for ice cream?
Hey, well, if you're in the mood for ice cream, why not?
I need a yes or no.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
This is the result of brain dead. We've been brainwashed from birth by our government. Now you're being brainwashed with AI, therefore you're getting dumber. You can't think for yourself. You get confused. You always ask AI. You're getting dependent. A lot of people are ready, as you can see. This is what the government wants. This is what they've been going for all this time. The dumber you are, the more crap they can pull. Subscribe. Give me a like. Give me a comment too, because this is crazy shit.